What's up? We got Arrow Season 3, Episode 4, The Magician. So this episode starts off picking up where the last one left off, with Nyssa showing up at the Arrow Cave, and, she's questioning Oliver on where's Sara? But he's like, there's something you should know, and by his look, she's like, she's dead, isn't she? Where is she? And he's like, we buried her we buried her in a grave from 7 years ago, he says. So, yeah, from looks, she can just predict that he's dead. That she's dead, sorry, not that he's. So, yeah. So then we get more Thea and Roy scenes because, so in the last episode, in episode 3, Roy mentioned that he wasn't sleeping well. So, just had to mention that Roy mentioned that he wasn't sleeping well. Yeah, it's kind of just, hey, Roy wasn't sleeping well. Okay, next scene. Yeah, so we see Nyssa at Sarah's grave, and we all see Laurel there, and Laurel just randomly shows up. Okay, so I gotta say, Laurel is kind of the worst in this season. Of what I've seen so far, not this whole season, of what I've seen so far, she's lying to her dad and making the excuse that he has okay, of course Quentin has a heart condition because of what happened, but Laurel's using that excuse to not tell him what happened to Sara. She's using him having a heart condition as her way to not tell him that Sarah's gone. And that's why she doesn't want to tell him. Because he has a heart condition and something could happen to him. Okay. Laurel, you are the worst. You are the worst, Laurel. I get what she's going. I guess she was going through. But the more Quentin thinks that Sara is alive, the more he's gonna, in this episode, he tries to call Sara. Yes, Quentin tries to call Sara. And that made me even more bad. Made me feel even more bad for him that he has no idea that she's dead because he's trying to call her to make sure she's alright. So, Laurel, fess up and tell this man that is not in this world, because if you keep this from him, he'll keep going on the path of trying to call Sara and still thinking that Sarah's keeping the city safe. Yeah, Quentin needs to know. I feel bad for this dude, and I have a feeling, I'm gonna predict that I'm probably gonna feel bad for him even more, that he's gonna be stringed along through the entire show. Because that's how the Arrow's writers are, that they like to string on our boy Lance like this. Come on, Quentin. Actually, come on, Laurel. So other than my whole rant on why Laurel is a terrible character this is only episode 4. And Sarah's been dead for 2 episodes. Yeah, it's time to fess up, Laurel. It's time to fess up to Sarah. So, yeah. Anyway, Laurel. So Sarah, Nyssa tells Laurel that Laurel cannot wear that jacket, and she's like, and Laurel, before that, Laurel's like, Nyssa, this is all your fault. If you wouldn't have brought Sara into the League of Assassins to begin with, Sara'd still be alive. And Nyssa says, Laurel, there was darkness in Sara before she even joined the League of Assassins. So, she found Sara cold, starving, and she took her in and fell in love with her. So, Laurel, I guess you just found Sarah's identity and you're blaming Nyssa, but if it wasn't for Nyssa showing up, Sara would be dead. Sara wouldn't have been, those arrows wouldn't have been the thing that took out Sara. It would have. So thank you, Nyssa, for giving us this great character. Even though we're not going to see her in the season, it's great that Nyssa saved her life. So, yeah. So Nyssa's Oliver decides to team up with Nyssa. Actually, Laurel decides to go to Quentin because we haven't had enough of Laurel being a terrible person in the show. And yeah, so Quentin's like, oh, is Sara back? And it's like, oh, right. We actually care about Quentin, writers. We actually care about when he's going to get hurt. Because this is one of the worst ideas they've ever had. Not killing Sara, but making Quentin oblivious to it all. Him still thinking she's alive. Him asking all these questions about why. He even tries, as I said before, he tries to call her. Still thinking she's alive. And protecting the city. I feel good about this. But, so, yeah. So, anyway, yeah. So, Nyssa's like, she's not back, but she misses you. I'm glad Nyssa said that, but I'm just like, come on. The more he doesn't know, the more it hurts me. So, yeah, so Nyssa decides to give her target to Oliver, who she thinks killed Sara. And who does she think it is, everybody? She thinks it's Red Herring from Pup Named Scooby. No, she actually thinks it's Malcolm Merlin. I just wanted to make a Pup Named Scooby-Doo reference. She thinks it's Malcolm. Oliver's like, nah, Malcolm's dead. And she's like, no, she's alive. And he's like, how do you know that? From your mom. Because remember, Oliver's mom called Ra's al Ghul, and Oliver's like, Oliver doesn't believe her, because of course he doesn't, because he's like, his mom wasn't his, yeah, because before Mordred died, my theory is she was going to tell them that Malcolm's alive, but she didn't get to because she got killed by Slade. But Oliver's like, his mom was anything, but she wouldn't keep this. And then Roy's like, why would people think Merlin's dead, but he's actually not? Yeah, so they go and they find Merlin there, and Oliver's like, OMG, you're right all along, Nyssa. And Nyssa's like, thanks, Oliver, you're the best. Let's hang out some more. No, they don't actually do that. Sorry for my bad Nyssa impression, but he just like puts a tracker on him, and Laurel's now mad, saying about how Laurel's mad that Oliver didn't kidnap him, didn't capture him, and Merlin calls him saying, hey, I didn't kill, Merlin's, they reestablished what we already know by saying Merlin's undertaking broke the promise of the League of broke the oath of the League, and now they're trying to kill him. We already know this. You don't have to tell us again, show. We already know this. I just Oliver doesn't, but we as not do. So he says about how Oliver, you know, I keep getting all the way train of thought, but then so then Merlin's like, hey Oliver, let's talk. So he basically explains that Starling City was his city before Oliver claimed it. I'm like, no, it wasn't, bitch. It wasn't Merlin. And he's like, and he's like, I did this all for Thea. And he didn't kill Sara. But are we supposed to... No. How are we supposed to believe anything the guy says? How are we supposed to believe anything Merlin says? But who does? Oliver. Because if Merlin says he does it all for Thea, he didn't kill Sara and he's protecting Thea, he just immediately believes this guy. But this guy has lied before. He lied about an undertaking. He lied about being dead. Oliver's just buying this guy in full. So Sarah's like, if you won't, Nyssa's like, if you won't kill him, I'll kidnap your sister. And he kidnaps Thea. And that's when Oliver shows up. That's when Merlin shows up. And Oliver spares Merlin's life. Merlin tries to say, he didn't kill Sara, but she spares his life. So Merlin's just telling him to arrest him and kill him, but Oliver's like, nah, I'm not gonna do that. See you, Nyssa. And then Nyssa says about how world's a good fighter. Then we see her meet with her dad, the main villain of this show, Ra's al Ghul. Yeah, we get to see him. And boy, does he look interesting. Why? Isn't that weird that they're introducing the main villain of the show in the 4th episode? Usually they introduce them in the 9th one. Like, Malcolm Merlin was showed the Dark Archer in the 9th episode. Slade was introduced in the 9th episode. But they're like, no, we're not going to do all that. We're just going to put him in the 4th episode because who cares about showing each villain at a time in a 9th episode, right? Right. But that was, and they're like, Oliver Queen courts war with them because now that Oliver is sworn to protect. Yeah, and also Thea calls Merlin saying about how Oliver's totally in the dark so here's what I don't get. Oliver tells Thea about Merlin being alive, and she's like, nope, he's dead. So if I'm getting this right, when Thea was tired of the lies, right? She was tired of Oliver and her mom lying to her. And she went and she moved and she got away from Starling City because of the lies. But she comes back and she starts lying herself? How does that make any sense? So it's okay, it's not okay if her family lies, but if she lies, it's good. How does that make any sense? They're basically saying, hey Thea, you ran away because you left Starling City because your family lied to you, but if you lie, it's okay. How does that make any sense? It doesn't. The show is totally now losing its edge. But anyway, that was it for this episode. I'll see you next time when we review some more Arrow.